My name is Charlie. I gained weight and it's okay. Today I'm going to talk about why. So some of my most frequently asked questions on Instagram and YouTube, things that have to do with weight gain. So I wanted to make this video that's a all-encompassing source of answers of weight gain questions. I've split everything up into categories because there were a lot of questions. Categorizing some of them might make it easier so that I don't answer things twice, but I do want to try to answer as many as I can. First thing for people who aren't subscribers of mine is that you learn about me real quick. Like I said, my name is Charlie. I am recovering from a restrictive eating disorder and I have gained weight. I had been diagnosed with atypical anorexia, definition here. I didn't need to gain weight to be weight restored. That wasn't something that was part of my recovery process, but in recovery and learning about food and accepting food in my body, I did gain weight. I did gain weight in my recovery and I'm probably still going to. I might not, I might, who knows? And I think that the thing that's most important is that that part doesn't really matter. Like I've said many times, our bodies are the least important things about us and our existence goes way beyond what we look like and our appearance, and that's something that I'm trying to learn. I'm gonna answer these questions. I did compile these about 2 months ago and I did film this video already and then lost the footage in the process of moving from my dorm room back home. First, I'm just gonna answer the ones that pertain to me just to get started. I hope I'm not blurry. Maybe that's better. So I'm just going to answer the ones that pertain to me first to get started, and then we'll move into more of the advicey ones. Also, really important to note that I'm just someone who's going through it too, so I am not a doctor, dietitian. I am not here to be giving any prescribed advice. My biggest piece of advice to anyone who is struggling with eating disorders is to talk to a professional. They're the ones who can give you actual advice and medical advice because it is a medical situation. But a lot of people have internal stigmas about weight gain that have nothing to do with an eating disorder, and I think it's important to talk about those too. We just demonize weight gain so much because we demonize people in larger bodies. We need to stop that. Also, after this video is over, please check the description. I have listed so many resources for you. We've got podcasts, we've got videos, we've got articles, we've got people to follow online. There's so many things that I have spent quite a bit of time compiling for you to look at, and I really hope that they're helpful. But let's start with answering questions about me. Are you still gaining weight and having to buy new clothes? Not really. I have kind of hit a plateau of my set point of where my body naturally rests at. That fluctuates, of course, and it'll probably continue to fluctuate as I get older. I don't have any issues with it because my body's happy where it is, so that's what matters. Am I having to buy new clothes? Sometimes I find as the seasons change, I'll find something from an old season that doesn't fit me anymore, which just means it's time to get rid of it and find a new home, which is not a big deal. How did you positively change your idea/ideal of what your body should look like? Something that's really helpful is following a diverse group of people on the internet. I know I spend a lot of time online, and when looking at other people's pictures and profiles, I compare myself a lot, and having a really diverse group of people, different backgrounds, different places in the world, there's a bug. I've been trying to catch this bug for days. I wonder if I can do it. I caught the bug. Okay. I took care of the bug. I'm so happy that I caught it. I put it outside, for the record. I think something that's really important is following people who make you feel positively about yourself, and also following people from a diverse array of backgrounds, genders, ethnicities, sizes. It is so important to get other people's perspectives, which is something important for all aspects of your life. Feeling like there's an idea of what your body should look like. Seeing people exist in different bodies is so important because all of ours are different. That's something that's been really valuable to me. How long did it take you to accept the weight gain? You know, the first time that I filmed this video, I felt like I hadn't yet, and now I feel like I kind of have. It takes a long time, I think, is the answer for this. To feel comfortable in a body that you're not familiar with yet. It does take time, but in the end it's totally worth it. Do you have anxieties based around weight gain? If so, how do you deal with on a daily basis? I feel like I don't have as many anxieties about it. Obviously there are some and they come up sometimes, but for the most part I'm pretty content with my body. It takes a lot of practice, but it's possible to get there. How do I deal with anxieties about weight gain on a daily basis? I just am constantly reminding myself that my body is the least important thing about me, and I offer so much more to the world than what I look like and how much space I take up. What did you do to become confident in your body? There are a lot of things that I've been doing and practicing and learning, and some of the most important ones are surrounding myself with people who talk positively about their own bodies and about bodies in general, unfollowing people, stopping to hang out with people in real life if they aren't positively affecting this part of my life. That's really important. I have moved my bed away from the mirrors in my room because I don't want to be looking at myself and body checking. That's really important. Reminding myself that, like I've said before and like I'm going to repeat so many times in this video, my body is not me. If that makes sense. Like, yes, it's me, it's how I'm getting around in the world, but there's so much more about me that is way more interesting than the way that I look. Not saying that I don't think I look cute, but I don't have to think I look cute. And I think that's important, is like body neutrality is amazing because it's just like, yes, I have a body, I exist, I don't hate it, let's move on. Because like, you don't have to love all of you. You can just like be like, yeah, that's fine. I exist with that part of me. And I don't hate it and I don't love it, and I just moving on. Did you struggle with looking in the mirror? I would say that it was a little different. Like, I didn't avoid mirrors. I think I overly sought out reflective surfaces to check myself and check my body, and that's why I, for example, have moved my bed away from my mirrors so that I'm not doing that as frequently. I feel like I'm at a place where I'm comfortable to look in the mirror occasionally, but every time I see a reflective surface I don't feel the need to body check, which is important. Did you end up having to buy a new wardrobe? And if so, how was the process? I didn't have to completely buy a new wardrobe because, like I said, I was already at a like medically stable weight, so a lot of my clothes did continue to fit me. I did have to replace things, obviously, that I grew out of, but it wasn't like an all replacing thing. Also, a lot of my recovery, like the biggest portion of my recovery, happened at a time in my life when I was like going through puberty still, so there was going to be a lot of clothing repurchases anyway because I was going from like a teenager body to like an adult body, and those things are very different. So the process of buying new clothes to me is exciting because I really like clothes and it's just an opportunity to try new things, but I know that it can be really hard for other people. We're going to talk more about clothes later. What's helped you overcome the gain? Just accepting the fact that my body is really not as important as the rest of me. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I really don't care. After watching this video, you will not forget this, that your body is the least important thing about you. And you offer so many wonderful things to the world that do not have to do with your body and your appearance. Did society judge you as much as you thought it would while gaining weight? No. The part of my eating disorder when I was losing weight, I did notice that a lot of people were congratulating me, and that's something that I think a lot of people who don't have this stereotypical look of an eating disorder, the people who do have them and are completely valid and just as valid as someone in a smaller body, they get congratulated when other people who are in smaller bodies, people are concerned for them, but the actions are the same. That's something that I noticed, is that I got congratulated a lot for my intentional weight loss, whereas when I got to the weight that I am now, I haven't really had many people commenting, and I think it's just because I'm still in a socially acceptable straight size body, and that's not true for everybody, so that's just a privilege that my set point has. Also, because I'm a fairly petite person, because I'm 5'2", I feel like things just look a little bit different on me than someone who may be in a taller body. What was the hardest part for you? I think the hardest part for me was intimacy and being in my relationship with my boyfriend. I had had a not so great partner in the past who made a lot of negative remarks about my body and about my own weight gain. Feeling comfortable in my relationship that I'm in now in my body was really difficult, and it took a lot of work for both of us for me to get to the point where I could like go to the beach in a bikini with my boyfriend or let him hug me. And those are things that I'm still working on, but I feel like I've grown so much from where we started 3 years ago to where we are now. And then the last personal question is, do your parents know your situation well? Do they ever make you feel uncomfortable about it? I don't know if my parents are watching. They know I have a YouTube channel. Don't think they watch my videos or not, but if they are, hi mom and dad. So they do know somewhat of my situation. I think we don't really talk about it a whole lot. Sometimes they do make me feel uncomfortable. Sometimes my boyfriend does. Sometimes my best friends do, because they're so used to this typical diet culture language, and maybe they're talking about what they're eating themselves, or they're talking about what they heard on TV or read or something, and it unintentionally does make me feel uncomfortable. And usually I can say, hey, let's not talk about that, or I change the subject, so on and so forth, and it doesn't ruin my day as much as it did when I was younger, and I think that that's just proof of how far I've been able to come. That's all of the personal questions, and now we're gonna move on to some of the more science-y questions, which are gonna be hard to answer because, like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm just gonna read these off and then I'm gonna answer all of them kind of together because they all have something to do with each other. How do you know what weight your body needs to be at in order to be healthy? How to deal with being overweight after recovery, especially being overweight pre-eating disorder too. Advice for going restrictive to recovery to frequent binging. How do you know if you're gaining too much weight or just enough? How to be okay about weight gain if it makes you an unhealthy BMI. Those are the questions about BMI and weight gain. Firstly, just as a reminder, I'm not a doctor or a scientist or dietitian, so please, if you're looking for medical advice, speak to your doctor or reach out to another person or adult in your life that you feel like you can talk to, because everybody is completely different and I don't know your entire story, so I can't give you any advice, but I will give a few tidbits of information that I've learned. First of all, let's throw out the word overweight and overeating, because when we say overweight, it means that there is the right weight to be, and that's not true. And same with overeating. When we say overeating, it means that there is a certain amount of food that we should be eating, and everybody needs something different every single day and every single different time of day. To know what weight your body needs to be at, you need to be able to eat completely intuitively every single day, and whatever weight your body rests at, that's the weight that your body needs to be at. For me, this is the weight, my set point weight that my body needs to be at. My body feels the best at this weight, even if I get sick and don't eat a lot of food, where I get a cold or something and my body just isn't that hungry, versus when I'm on my period, my body is really hungry because it needs extra energy and I'm eating a lot more food than usual. Both of those are totally valid, and all of that combined brings me to the weight I am now. Let's get rid of the overweight thing. And also, let's talk about BMI for a second, because this is something totally interesting to me. BMI is a body mass index, which takes your height and your weight into consideration to create this number, and the number goes on this chart from underweight to obese, I think. Not a fan of that word, but that's what it says on the chart. It was created by Lambert Adolphe Jacques Quetelet. I don't know, I don't speak French. Or he's Belgian. It was introduced in the early 19th century, so early 1800s, by a Belgian man. He was not a doctor, he was a mathematician. He created the BMI to measure obesity in the general population. However, he only created the BMI to be applicable to white men, white adult men. And the race and the gender do play an important factor here, because depending on where you're from in the world, so your ethnicity or your race and your gender play a big role in where the fat is stored on your body. There are a lot of flaws within the system of why it was created. It was not even created by a doctor, and it's used by doctors everywhere now, and I just have a lot of problems with the way people use BMI as like a factor of their health, when in reality it's totally arbitrary. That's my little BMI rant. If you'd like some more information about that, I have it linked below, and I also have some more information about HAES, the Health at Every Size movement, for you to learn more about that. Let's move on to clothes. Clothes is one of my favorite things to talk about. I only have a few questions about this, but I have gotten quite a few DMs about clothes, so we're gonna talk about that. Here are questions about clothes. Confident in clothes? Thoughts on clothes not fitting anymore? P.S. I love your channel. P.S. I love you. How to deal with shopping for new clothes, old clothes that don't fit anymore, what do I do with them, how to physically and mentally treat clothes that don't fit at the moment. I have had to get rid of a lot of clothes just because of the way my body changes and the way that clothes fit on me in general. I'm someone who really enjoys thrifting, buying secondhand, donating clothing, and I think that that is a great cycle to be a part of, but it can be tricky when you're thrifting clothes because you can't change sizes, which might actually be a positive thing. When you go to a thrift store, there's only one item in that size and you can't size up or size down, which does make it difficult to buy new clothes. My biggest piece of advice for shopping for new clothes is to take someone that you trust and you feel comfortable with in the dressing room with. You don't have to be in there with them, but maybe have someone stand outside, whether that be a partner, a parent, a family member, a friend, someone that you can trust and have be there for you in case panic or anxiety ensues, which is a complete possibility. There have been many times I've broken down crying in a dressing room, and I'm so grateful that I've had friends there to keep me company and to help me get through it. I highly don't recommend buying things online. Obviously, we're in a very different time right now where buying things online is kind of the only way to get things like this. So I do recommend trying things on in person, because when you have to go through the ordeal of mailing things back, it just sucks with the guilt of not fitting into clothes, which I don't think there should be any, but obviously I can't control feelings and sometimes it happens and you just have to move on. What to do with old clothes that don't fit anymore. So I have gotten some questions also about not being able to afford buying new clothes, and I think something that's really helpful is to sell your old clothes to be able to afford to buy ones that fit you. Some ways that you could do this are to go to consignment stores like Plato's Closet kind of stores that will buy your clothes and then you can get store credit to buy new ones. Obviously you're not going to get back the same amount of things, but it is a great way to keep that cycle going. Another option is things like Depop and Poshmark, but it is really hard to sell clothes and have them around the house if they don't fit you anymore. So I understand if you just want to donate them to get them out of your life. Some ways that I think are really great ways to responsibly get rid of your clothing is to donate them to family support centers, teen centers, local thrift stores, ones that are smaller scale, because those ones often throw out clothing the least amount because they get less donations. Those are some responsible ways to get rid of your clothing. Being confident in clothing is just something that comes when you're becoming more confident in your body, and it just will take time and practice and getting out of your comfort zone, but it will happen. You just have to keep working at it. Confidence is like any other skill. It takes consistent practice. My mouth is starting to hurt from talking so much. I need some tea. Now we're on to comments from other people, which is a really tricky subject, so we're gonna get into these. How to deal with comments about weight gain even if they aren't ill-intentioned. How to respond to people suggesting diets, ways to lose weight, lose faster. Did people around you comment about the weight gain? If so, how did you respond? How do you deal with negative judgment from loved ones? How do you react when people mention your weight? How to deal with comments like you look better in recovery. Dealing with negative comments and judgment from people close to you. How to react when other people start making comments about it. What to say when people point it out or ask when you're going to lose it. Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, it sucks to hear comments like this, because even if they aren't ill-intentioned, like one of these said, it can still really hurt you and derail you from your whole recovery experience. Let's go through these. There's a difference between saying like, oh, your hair looks really nice, to like making a joke about someone being short or being tall or being really slim or being in a larger body. There's no excuse for making comments about people's bodies, because you don't know the situation that they're in with their body and how they feel about it. And even if you think it's coming as a positive, it might be something that hurts them more deeply than you can imagine. So just please be aware of that. If you have people asking questions about your weight gain and you don't want to talk about it, just straight up tell them, I don't want to talk about this. This is not something I'm comfortable talking about. Learning how to say no is one of the most powerful skills I've ever learned in my entire life. My high school art teacher said this to me once when I was having a hard time with that person I was dating that I mentioned earlier. My art teacher said to me, Charlie, no is a full sentence. No is a full sentence. Let me repeat that. No is a full sentence. All you have to say is no. People don't have a right to your information that you don't want to share. That's yours. you don't owe it to anybody. If people are suggesting diets or ways to lose weight, whether it be to you or to other people, you can either not respond, you can say that you're not interested. Here are some of the things that I typically say when other people give comments to me. Oh yeah, so I saw this diet that I think I'm gonna try and it looks really good. Like, I really want to lose some weight and I think that it'll be a great way for me to shed some pounds. Oh, well, I really like you the way that you are and I don't think that you need to change anything. But if that's what you feel like you need to do for you, I totally get it. Oh, I think we should do this workout routine together because I heard that it's really good to get abs and I really want to get a flat stomach, and we could do like a challenge where we each do it every day. Well, I kind of like my body the way it is and I'm happy to support you if that's what you want to do, but I'm not going to be doing it. But thanks for thinking of me. Wow, I've noticed that you filled out your clothes a little bit more. It looks so different. You look really healthy. Oh, well, thanks. I've just been listening to my body and doing what works for me. And if my body changes while doing that, then that's just what happens. I really liked the way that you looked before. Last summer, you looked really great. Why don't you just do that again? Well, last summer, I was a different person. And right now, I like the way that I am. So I don't feel the need to change it. And those are some examples of what you could say to people. That was really awkward. I've never really done something like that. Like the back and forth thing? I don't know. I didn't know another way to explain it. The synopsis is, you just say whatever you feel like is comfortable to you in the moment. Just know that no one has the right to your information that you don't want to share, and you don't have to say anything, you don't owe them anything, and your body is your business only. So these are both questions about weight distribution. Does weight distribution really exist after recovery? And then my experience with swelling and redistribution. Like I said before, this is not something that I had to deal with because when I started recovery, I was already at a stable weight and deemed healthy weight by my doctors. That's not something that I experienced, but from everything that I've learned and the research that I've done, weight distribution is totally happens. It totally happens. And for those of you who don't know, often when you start recovery, for those who are in smaller bodies who are recovering, sometimes their weight will go around their stomach and chest area to protect their organs, because that's the place that your body wants to gain weight first in a survival mechanism. But yes, it does redistribute over time. For this, I would highly recommend checking out Stephanie Buttermore's YouTube channel and Instagram, because she does talk about this. So I got a lot of general questions about this and I'm going to go through and read them all off. They're all fairly similar and things that I've already touched on. How to accept it, embrace it, and how to handle it while being in a relationship. Were you able to stop comparing your past body to your present one? How to accept, how to deal with your body changing. How do I make myself think in a less toxic way about it? How do you cope with it? I find it hard to accept my body. How to accept weight gain, how to get used to it, to accept your body, how do I deal with it? Do you absolutely have to gain weight in recovery? I don't want to tell people about my ED, but I feel the need to justify my weight. How to cope with bloating. What to do when you feel bad about the weight you've gained. How do you keep going? I think the biggest thing, like piece of advice I can give for this whole group of questions is weight gain is not a bad thing. Being in a larger body is not a bad thing. And we have demonized people in larger bodies and weight gain for so long. Here's the deal. We have been demonizing people and larger bodies for so long, and weight gain has been a taboo, and weight gain is seen as a failure, and weight loss is seen as a success, because we have valued slimmer bodies and smaller bodies for so long. In order for that to change, we need to uplift the voices and the bodies of people that are in larger bodies. How to handle it while being in a relationship. Being in a relationship should improve your recovery, not hinder it. Being in a relationship should help make your recovery easier because you have someone there to support you. If being in a relationship is making your recovery harder, then maybe you need to take a step back. How do you stop comparing your past body to your present one? Remember that your past body is a completely different person than you are now. You've grown so much since then. How to think about it in a less toxic way, how to accept it, like these things, like I mentioned earlier. I think the best way to do this is to surround yourself with other images of people that are from different sized bodies, from different backgrounds, because it totally broadens your perspective on beauty and how beauty is seen in everybody. It's so easy to accept other people's bodies, whatever they look like, and then it's really difficult to accept your own. And I think something that's really helped me is just spending time with my body by myself, totally alone, learning about my body in different ways and the amazing things that it can do for me, and just being grateful for the fact that I have one. The way that I look is the least important thing about me. And I think focusing on the things that I do find valuable about me have also been really helpful. Focusing on my passions and things that I care about, helping others, advocacy, things that bring me joy in life are much more important than the way that I look. I can still enjoy things like putting on makeup like I did today, or painting my nails, loving the fact that I have curly hair, but I'm not gonna beat myself up for the way that I look just because it's different than someone else's. That's something that's taking a lot of time to learn. A quote that I've seen before, Jen Brett, if you watch her YouTube videos or anything, but there's something that she always says, and she's got it from a quote somewhere else. Flowers are beautiful and so are Christmas lights, and they look nothing alike. That's something that I try to remind myself, is that we all have our own different ways of existing in the world, and they're all valid. Do you absolutely have to gain weight in recovery? Not necessarily, but you absolutely have to be okay with the fact that you could. And I think that's the part that's the hardest. You need to be okay with gaining weight to any possible size. You never need to justify your weight gain to anyone. You don't need to justify anything to anyone, because it's your body and it just exists as is. If you want to talk to people about what's going on with you, then you can, but you don't need to, because you don't owe anyone an explanation for the way that you look. And my camera's about to die, so we're gonna come back in a second. Okay, I'm back. So these are all of the questions that I felt like didn't fit into a box, so I'm gonna answer each one individually. So this first one, do you think a lot of vegans choose vegan in recovery to prevent weight gain? I can't speak for anyone else other than myself, and I can say yes, that is one of the reasons that I continue to eat vegan, but you can learn more about it in my video here. How can I be confident when I gain weight? I talked a little bit about confidence earlier, but I think realizing that there is no shame in being in a larger body, and that confidence comes with practice, not with body size. How to feel when it is caused by necessary medication. The medication is more important than you being small, and shrinking yourself to jeopardize your health is very dangerous, and necessary medication that has a side effect of weight gain is just a necessary medication, period. What's your opinion about not wanting to have a bigger body because you feel better when you're smaller? Is it a bad thing when you personally love and appreciate big/fat bodies but don't want one yourself? I feel like that's controversial, but I'd like to hear you talk about it. When you are going into this journey of recovery and gaining weight, like I said earlier, you need to be okay with gaining weight to any possible size, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to recover. If you only want to recover to gain to a certain size, then that's not recovery. You need to be okay with being in a large body. You want to learn more about HAES and health in every size, like I said, more information down below. How to not be self-fat phobic, if that makes sense. Like I said earlier, you just need to include people in larger bodies in your view of the world. They're often excluded in media, so we need to go out and find them and amplify their voices so that they're heard and seen and recognized. So I've listed a lot of down below that I highly recommend following. Diversifying your feed is so important. Does it feel panic inducing to weigh yourself when you're weight restored? Don't weigh yourself then. I don't weigh myself, and I don't think weighing yourself is important at all. The number of pounds is not a determiner of your health. A number cannot include the feelings and physical sensations of a healthy body and mind. I'm scared my boyfriend won't find me attractive anymore when I gain weight, but I'm scared to talk about it. I was scared too, and I was in a relationship that was not beneficial to my recovery because, yeah, I gained weight and he didn't find me attractive anymore. He was also not great in other ways, and then I found the wonderful man I'm with now who will be happy with me no matter how I look. You know, if you're really concerned that your partner is not going to love you for the way that you look after you gain weight, then I think there's some other things you really need to look at in your relationship other than just your appearance, which is really hard to do, but it's so important for the long term. Have you ever body checked, thought you lost weight, and found that you gained? Heck yeah, I did, and it's fine because weight gain is not a bad thing. Do you think challenges are helpful to gain weight? Not really. I think the thing that will be most helpful if you need to gain weight is just doing things consistently and just changing the way that you eat that is intuitive and listening to what your body actually wants, trying things that you haven't tried in a while. You can obviously challenge yourself to eat fewer foods every now and then, and obviously hopefully you'll get to a point where you don't have any anymore, but just getting to a point where you can eat like sustainably and not in like an eco-friendly way, but like in a way that you can do for a long period of time, if that makes sense. How can I deal with being constantly anxious about looking fat? Fat is just another adjective to describe bodies, like tall or short is not a bad thing, and it's just a way that we describe the way that people look. How can I gain weight fast? Speak to your doctor, talk to them about something that'll work well for you, because everybody is different, but eating intuitively and listening to what your body wants is a great place to start. How to cope with preferring how you look at a smaller size that's difficult to achieve. Obviously, I can't tell you how to feel about the way that you look, but if you prefer being at a size that's difficult to achieve, then that's not the size that your body was meant to be at. Your body is meant to be at a size that does not require any achieving at all, it just requires existing. How to not restrict when we see the numbers go up. I'm assuming this is talking about weight numbers and pounds. You shouldn't be weighing yourself anyways, so that shouldn't apply if you're not weighing yourself. But how to not restrict when you see numbers go up. If you are weighing yourself, not following my orders of not weighing yourself, that gaining weight is part of the process and just part of being human, and gaining weight is not a bad thing, and it's something we should all work on stop demonizing, because weight gain can be good and weight gain is neutral, and weight gain it just is, and it's not bad. How do you let go mentally of clothes that you know are too small or they just don't fit how they used to? Do you find it difficult? Yeah, it's hard to let go of parts of you. Something that I've done is transform things into new things. For example, I had this t-shirt that I loved and it didn't fit me anymore, but I didn't want to get rid of it, so I turned it into a pillow. And there's ways that you can keep sentimental things without having to get rid of those memories and things, and still keeping them around without having to feel like you have to fit into them. How do you handle the roles? I embrace them, and I touch them, and I squeeze them, and I love them. Advice on convincing yourself people will love you the exact same at the higher weight. You don't need to convince yourself of this, you just need to see it, because it happens and it's true. And my friendships not only have stayed healthy and the same, I think that they've grown better because I'm more open and I can express myself to them. And with my partner, my boyfriend, he loves me the same, and I feel like our relationship has grown even more because I can be so open, and we can have like intimate moments where he can hug me and like have his hands on my sides and I don't flinch. And those are things that grow relationships, not inhibit them. People will still love you the same, and I don't know, in my experience, our relationships have been able to grow even more. Ways to cope with other people noticing it. That's held me back a lot in starting real recovery. And sometimes people don't notice it at all because that's not what they're focused on about you, because the people who truly care about you and love you know that your body is not the most important thing about you. I sound like a broken record, but I don't care. And I think that that is all of the questions. So in summary, your body's the least important thing about you. Your existence is more than the way that you look in your appearance. Gaining weight is not a bad thing. Being in a larger body and being fat are not bad things. Gaining weight does not make you a bad person. Being in a larger body does not make you a bad person. Gaining weight in recovery is not necessarily necessary, but you need to be okay with the fact that you could, and that is so important. You need to be okay with gaining weight in order to get better. And it's hard, but practice is key. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for asking me questions. Thank you for listening to what I have to say. And thanks for understanding that I'm not a professional. I'm just sharing what I've learned from professionals and things that I've learned from my experience. I've listed sources below from places that I've learned this information and places I think you should check out. Like I said, I have some amazing resources that I put in the description that would make me so happy if you checked them out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!